Hey guys, I hope you guys are doing amazing wherever you are in the world. My name is Boom Shaka and I welcome you to my channel. I'm so grateful that you guys are watching and subscribing and listening and all that stuff. In this video, I wanted to speak to you guys about the fact that I've noticed this weird thing within me, and I know I've done several videos on the fact that we are a mass of contradictions. We are so contradictory sometimes that we seem bipolar, and I know a lot of people will come across to you and saying, but you weren't like this yesterday, or you weren't like this last week, or I didn't think you were like this, and you think to yourself, really, am I this kind of person who's always changing their mind? It makes us doubt ourselves. It makes us feel like we're fickle, which is not the word I want to use for ourselves. I want to use the word flexible, adaptable. It's more positive, has a more positive connotation to it. Instead of being called impulsive, I like the word spontaneous. Every single time anyone describes me negatively, I always change it so that the word itself means the same thing but has a positive versus negative connotation. And that's really important. It's like positive self-talk versus negative self-talk. Anyways, that was just a side note. But I've noticed these two people within me all the time. And one person's really happy and really ecstatic to be alive, and just so grateful that she gets this chance to have these breaths, to have these moments, these lives where she can be alive and she can have all these senses, and I have my limbs and I can walk and I can travel and I can see the world and I can eat all these delicious foods, and I'm so grateful. And there's this really happy person to me, and it's the happy boom, right? And then there's a sad boom, and she's always there as well. She's never overpowering or taking away from the happiness of the happy boom. Never. The happy boom is always there, and she's always there, and she's happy and she's ecstatic and just grateful, right? But the sad boom's always there too. Not that she's taken away, as I said, from the positive boom or the happy boom, but she's always there, and she's very sad. And now I'm not saying that in a bad way. It's the beautiful emotion of sadness where she's sad because she's so grateful that she's here, but only for a few moments. I'm alive, but only for a few moments, and that's so sad because I'm gonna die soon. But that's also happy because it's also a happiness moment because I get to be here for those few moments, right? So everything, I think, as an INFJ, we can look at it with the two spectrums of happiness and sadness. We can look at something and be like, wow, that's so beautiful. I'm so happy to see it. Or we can get tears in our eyes and say, oh my God, that's so beautiful. I'm so grateful I got to see it, right? Now, not necessarily sadness. It's not tears of sadness. Maybe it's tears of joy, or tears of gratitude, or whatever it might be. But I know that whenever I am present in the world, whenever I'm moving through the world, I'm always carrying these two people with me. Always carrying these two people. And I really noticed that those two people in me when I was in India. And India is one of those people that one of those places that really brings up those two people for me, because there is again so much beauty and so much architecture and so much delicious food and such amazing people in India that I look at them and I feel so much joy. But then also there's a lot of sadness. There's all these young, really young kids working in the blazing heat doing construction work. There's all these mothers who are unable to take care of their kids properly because they have to work in all these random jobs. There's a lot of stuff going on that I'm sitting there and thinking to myself, wow, I feel really sad about all the different things that are going on. But I also feel really happy because there's a lot of good stuff going on as well, right? And these are the two things that make us, I think, the person that we are, that we're able to see both sides of the situation, no matter what's going on in the world. We'll be able to see, wow, this is amazing, it's beautiful, it's happy, gorgeous, blah, blah, blah. And we'll be able to see the bad side as well. Oh my God, this is the worst, blah, 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 blah. But at the same time, even though I'm feeling those emotions of sadness, it doesn't mean that I go into a spiral of depression. I feel like the world is going to end and everything sucks and why am I even alive and why is this world even alive and all human beings should die, blah, blah, right? I used to be like that. When I was very young, I used to go as soon as I felt a little bit of sadness because I wasn't able to control myself or my emotions. I was very young, and I was very empathic and I didn't know how to manipulate it, how to be with it. I know that it used to happen to me where I would feel a little bit of sadness, and instead of snapping out of it and saying, okay, yes, there's a little bit of sadness that I need to feel, but there's a lot of happiness that I need to feel as well. Instead of snapping myself out of it, I would go deep into it and I'd go into that spiral of sadness and I'd stay within it for weeks on end sometimes, right? I'd blame my period, or I'd blame hormones, or I'd blame the government, I'd blame all these stupid things, but it was the fact that I pulled myself deep within it, and I like to stay within it, because why should I be happy? Why should I be happy if there's all these horrible things going on in the world? I felt like I had to punish myself and be sad because there are all these sad things going on in the world. I felt like, I know now that it's not necessary, but I felt like that in the past, that I had to be sad in order to equalize the world. It's not fair that I'm happy in the world where there's so much sad stuff going on. So I became sad. Now I know that the most important thing that I can do in this world, where there are a lot of sad things going on, where there are a lot of sad people, where there is a lot of misery, is that I can be that beacon of light and happiness and joy, right? And that's what I do, is that I bring that happiness, that joy into every video that I do, and every interaction that I do. Every time I meet a stranger, I'm always smiling, and I'm always, as much as possible, unless I'm having a terrible day, as much as possible, I smile and I bring that positive light into that world, into their world, so that they can leave me knowing that, yes, at least there's one person on this planet who is happy no matter what's going on in the world. Now, I'm not saying that I completely ignore everything that's going on in the world. If I did, I would not do these videos, because this is one of the ways that I'm improving everyone around me, not just myself. But I know that I cannot let it overwhelm me, because it's very easy for an INFJ to let all of that shit overwhelm us. Actually, I could sit here right now in this moment in time and tell you a billion things that are wrong with the world. The fact that there's not going to be any wildlife left in 10 years. The fact that, they're going to have self-driving cars in a few years, so that all of these people are going to lose their jobs. Well, I mean, there's a billion things. I can come up with many right now. And so if I wanted to, I could really go into sadness. If I could really become this miserable person. I spent a lot of my early years, my younger years, doing that, being sad because there is a lot of sad stuff in the world. But now I realize I can have both of those people in myself. I can have that happy boom and I can have that sad boom, but neither of them have to overwhelm me. I am the culmination of both of those things. In fact, I need to have both of those things in order to be this person that I am right now. Because I can't just be a one-sided human being. I can't just pretend like everything is fine and be happy all the time, and I can't just pretend like nothing is good and be sad all the time, because they're both of those things are happening. There's always a lot of good happening in the world and a lot of bad happening in the world. And so we need to balance ourselves out, and we do that, or at least I do that, by having both of those people, both the sad and the happy boom, inside of me all the time. And they're always with me all the time. And I notice them more when I'm in certain places like India, or certain places where there is a lot of misery and there is a lot of joy. So I notice more that I have those people. When I'm in Canada, I don't notice that as much, because Canada is such a peaceful land, as much as possible in this world that we live in. There's a lot of happy people here, and there's a lot of luxury here. So there's not as much misery as you might imagine that might be in India. So I know that I don't feel those two connotations of me, or two iterations of me, as much when I'm in Canada. I don't feel them as strongly, but I do know that they're always there in the background. The reason I wanted to share this with you guys is, as always, I didn't know if you feel it as well. I mean, I felt it very, very strongly when I went to India this last time with my family, and I was like, wow, it's intense how powerfully I feel these two iterations within me. And so I wanted to share this with you guys. Perhaps you do live in a country where you do feel those two iterations all the time. Perhaps you don't. Perhaps you live in a country where you don't feel them at all. And so it depends on the person. But I do know that they're in us all the time. And that's one of the reasons for our bipolarity. When people will meet me, sometimes they'll be like, oh my God, you're the happiest person ever. Or sometimes they'll meet me and they're like, wow, you're such a pessimist. And I'm like, well, I'm just the same person, just bringing two different people within myself to the outward world, and showing you these two people, right? Again, I hope this makes sense to you guys. I just wanted to share this with you guys because it's so important that we talk about these weird things, because no one else really talks about it. I mean, I don't talk about these things with my extroverted friends because they won't get it, right? I don't think they will, at least. Anyways, let me know what you guys think of it. Did you guys like the video? Did you like the idea? Do you have those two people within you? Message me anytime, either on the comments below, or you can message me directly, privately. All my contact information is in the description below. And I shall see you guys next time around. Bye for now.